Welcome to Case Design. I'm Tristan, and this is where design is elevated by sharing knowledge. All right, by popular demand today, we'll be discussing how to become a licensed architect. For starters, architects are licensed per state. And since I'm in California, I will speak to their specific requirements. Many states have different requirements, but will do my best to let you know in general terms how they can differ from one state to another and provide you links to websites below so that you can track down the information that you need. NCARB is a really great resource and will show you some of their tools later on. Also note that you do not need to be a licensed architect to work in an architectural firm. Many people are unlicensed designers working in architecture firms in order to gain experience. You do need to be licensed to refer to yourself as an architect or need to sign and stamp off on drawings for permits and construction purposes. Okay, there are 3 general requirements to becoming a licensed architect in the United States, which are typically referred to as the 3 E's: education, experience, and examination. Now, once you've completed all of these 3 requirements for your state, then you will get your license and be able to sign and stamp drawings as the architect of record. All right, let's jump in and start with education. Generally speaking, you must have a professional degree from a NAB accredited college. NAB is the National Architectural Accrediting Board, which ensures that colleges meet their guidelines for value, relevance, and effectiveness within the profession of architecture. Now, a professional degree could be one of 2 things: either a 5-year professional degree, which is a curriculum that takes 5 years, or a 4+2, which is a 4-year undergrad degree plus a 2-year master's degree. I personally have a 4+2 education. I have a 4-year undergrad degree from Ball State University and a 2-year master's degree from Georgia Institute of Technology. After I graduated from Ball State, I had to take the GRE, or the Graduate Record Examination, which is a standardized exam to apply to colleges that offer a master's degree in architecture. If you were to attend a 5-year NAB accredited college, then you would not need to take the GRE or reapply to schools. Some states do, however, allow the plus 2 years of professional education be replaced with additional work experience. That means that you could have a 4-year education and satisfy all the educational requirements once you've had enough work experience in a firm, depending on the state that you're in. Keep in mind that this could limit your ability to get reciprocity in other states where replacing the plus 2 years of education is not allowed. Reciprocity is the process for an architect to practice in a state where they were not originally licensed. For example, California is a state that allows your plus 2 years of education to be replaced by experience. If you are licensed in California without a professional degree, then you would not be able to practice in Florida because that state does not allow the education be replaced with experience. So in summary, having a 5-year professional degree or a 4+2 education will give you the most flexibility in the future when working as a licensed architect. NCARB has a really great tool that you can refer to that will include more information on your particular state. Go to ncarb.org, get licensed, and select Licensing Requirements Tool. This is a helpful frame of reference to better understand your state's requirements. You can either select a requirement and see which state it applies to, or select the state on the map and see what requirements are needed to be completed. If you select the requirement, a professional degree from a NAB accredited program is required, you'll notice the blue states that populate the map where this requirement is needed to be completed. This requirement is not needed to be completed in California, but is needed to be completed in Florida. The inverse of this requirement is the next item. Additional experience can be accepted as an alternative to the educational requirement. This approach is acceptable in California, but not in Florida. There are many other requirements that you can look into, like if there's an online application that's needed to be filled out, if you have a degree from a foreign country, and if additional experience hours are needed beyond the standard AXP requirements, which is the next requirement to getting your license. Working experience is the next requirement to becoming a licensed architect, which you can start while you're in school. I highly recommend that you consider an internship to getting practical experience working at a firm while in school. You can apply a lot of time to this requirement when working summers and as interns so that you don't have to worry about this later on after you graduate. The program for tracking and approving your work experience is through the AXP, or the Architectural Experience Program, which is facilitated by NCARB, or the National Council of Architectural Registrations Board. There are 6 categories of experience and a minimum number of hours in each category that needs to be completed and signed off by your supervisor in the firm. The categories include practice management, that requires 160 hours, project management with 360 hours, programming and analysis with 260 hours, project planning and design with 1,080 hours, project development and documentation with 1,520 hours, and lastly, construction evaluation with 360 hours. All hours combined is 3,740, which is equivalent to approximately 24 months or about 2 years of working experience. You can sign up and start the program on NCARB's website at ncarb.org. I'll also include the link below for your convenience. Now, this requirement was very challenging for me to complete because there are 2 challenges that you'll potentially face when you're working to complete this requirement as well. 1, getting the experience in those particular categories, and 2, having a supervisor that can actually sign off on all the hours. Now, let me explain. I graduated Georgia Tech in 2008 when unemployment was sky high. Okay, well, it looks like about 5.1% unemployment rate. But by networking, I landed a job working for the Department of the Interior Yellowstone National Park to help lead all of their sustainability initiatives and construction projects. While at the park, I was not working directly under a licensed architect that would act as my AXP supervisor, but was working under licensed engineers, landscape architects, and other professionals. These supervisors were only able to sign off on a portion of required hours, and were not able to sign off on all the hours that I needed to fulfill the experience requirement. In addition, the park, like many other government agencies, outsources architectural services and rarely needs to design something in-house. Essentially, I did not have a supervisor that could sign off on all the hours that I needed and could not get experience in all the categories while working for the federal government. Now, these same issues could apply to architecture and design firms as well. Some architecture firms specialize in different building types and sizes of projects that could impact your ability to get this requirement completed. If you still need to complete the AXP, I suggest discussing which AXP topics you need to complete and who your AXP supervisor will be in order to sign off on all the hours. Strategizing this effort with your employer will help you stay on target to complete this requirement and not to prolong the process. Now, this leads us to the last of the 3 E's, examination. The licensing exams are referred to as the Architectural Registration Exams, or the AREs. The examination requirement may also require an additional state board exam depending on your state's requirements. In California, this additional state board exam is referred to as the C.A.S.E, or the California Supplemental Exam. We'll get into this in just a second. The intent of these standardized exams is to test you within similar categories as the AXP. There are 6 AXP categories, if you remember, and 6 AREs. If you recall, the AXP categories are practice management, project management, programming and analysis, project planning and design, project development, and construction evaluation. The ARE exam categories are exactly the same. This is not by accident, but was designed so that the categories of experience you get working in a firm aligns with the topics on the exams. If you're questioning which exam to start with, I would consider the exam category that you have the most experience in. If you're curious which exam is the hardest, it's always the next exam. I'll be honest, these exams are extremely difficult and should not be taken lightly. The act and process of actually taking the exams is frankly part of the examination process. You will need to balance personal life and work with the time that you need to spend studying and taking the exams. Now, once you've passed an exam, a 5-year time limit is applied to that exam. This means that if you don't pass all of the remaining exams within 5-year running clock, then you'll need to retake any of them that exceeded the time limit. 5 years sounds like a generous amount of time, but it's quite tight when you consider registering for the exam, because the testing centers fill up and may require you to schedule an exam a few weeks to even a few months into the future. The time needed to actually study for the exam and to pass the exam, because if you don't pass the exam first try, you can retake the exam later on. Again, everyday life and these exams are not compatible, so keep that in mind when you're just starting out. Family obligations, holidays, children, and deadlines at work are all challenges that you need to work around. Once you've passed all of the AREs within the 5-year running clock, you may still be required to take an additional state board exam depending on your state's requirements. There is no time limit to take or to pass this exam. The content on these exams are specific to your state's government having jurisdiction over the project and the site. Like the education requirements, the state board exam will also impact your ability to get reciprocity to work in another state. To work as a licensed architect in a state that requires an additional state board exam means that you'll just have to hunker down and pass that exam. As a side note, if you're just getting into architecture and are looking into schools to attend, you can track your experience and can even start taking licensing exams as a student through an early eligibility program called the Integrated Path to Architectural Licensure, or IPAL. This does not eliminate any of the licensing requirements, but rather offers students a way to fulfill some of these requirements while attending a school that has integrated the IPAL program into their curriculum. Alright, once you've completed all of the 3E requirements in your state, you are a licensed architect and will be assigned a number for your license. Now, the really cool thing about the licensing numbers is that they start with 1 and are assigned numerically to people as they become licensed within that state. For example, I'm licensed in California and have license number C37008, which means that nobody else in the history of California will ever have this number again. Essentially, the lower the number, the longer the architect has been licensed. Now, I hope that this was informative and useful. The best of luck to those in the process of completing the challenging licensing requirements. What was or is the most difficult part of the process for you? Tell us in the comments below, and we'll see you next time. Hi, I'm Tristan from C.A.S.E Design, where we provide content on various topics in architecture. The content developed for this channel is tailored to viewers like you and are encouraged to participate by providing comments and questions below. If you've enjoyed watching and participating, please hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on the next episode.